Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video from Aman Talks NRL SuperCoach. In today's video, we're going to be going through a quick recap of the round 7 games that have happened so far. Just going to say at the top of the video as well, this won't cover the Tigers Eels match. That's playing today on Easter Monday, but I'm going to be out unfortunately all evening, so I won't have time to record that. So we'll put my thoughts up somewhere, probably on tomorrow's Tuesday preview stream. But I wanted to still get this out and cover the other 7 games, and we do have updates in for the majority of them as well. Quick update on how I'm going. Probably not the best of weeks. Currently, I'm on 1,005. I've got 2 players to go, which is Terrell May and Adam Dewey. I bought in Adam Dewey after hearing about that Jaden Campbell injury news. Maybe not the best of long-term picks, but I wanted someone with a good matchup this week he's got the Eels goal kicking in the halves, and his duel is handy, so he'll be my backup 5'8". I just only need to play him on matchups, and once we know with more certainty who the gun 5'8" is to go for, I can trade out one of my kind of peaking center wings, flip Dewey down to my centers, and then pick up a 5'8". That was some of my thought process with going with Dewey. He also does free up enough money for me to hopefully go maybe like an Iongi to a Tedesco next week. So we'll get into all of that in my trade plans a little bit later. But yeah, so currently par's looking at about 1,200, but obviously still a match to go. So it's a bit hard to say, but probably been a bit of a down week for me currently as it stands. But I've got captaincy on Terrell May, so hoping for big things from him this afternoon. But going back to the first game of the round, which is the Sea Eagles versus the Dragons. Dragons winning this in a very close one, 20 points to 18. The highlights of this one were Toby Couchman. Again, we've spoken about you at the front rower a lot, but he just continues to kill it. He was a good price at 558k, and he's gone and busted out 91 points. 10 of those was a line break, but apart from that, pretty much all base power. 50 tackles, 22 points in runs. Like, it's unbelievable stuff that Couchman did in this game. So at his price, he's 558k. He's projected to go up 63. He's going to get up to just in the early 600s. You know what? I still don't hate him as a pickup. He's dual. There's some chat that potentially he's like an Origin bolter. So there is maybe that risk as well. But the stats and the averages that he's put up so far this year can't really be questioned. He's been absolutely killing it. Tyrell Sloan actually has had a couple of good weeks as well. 79 points in this one. It's a bit hard though with the Dragons attacking players. Valholm 65, Gutherson a bit of a quieter game again with 57. Whether you still want to invest in their players, or with Gutherson for example, you're probably even thinking maybe is he a long-term hold? Is he someone that you might eventually want to move on? So I've got this slide here as well, which is just looking at the draw for the next 4 weeks, but also the next 8 weeks. And this is sorted top down from easiest to hardest. Dragons are kind of middle of the road. So they've got Roosters in this Anzac Day clash this weekend. Then they've got the Tigers, Warriors, and the Broncos. And if you look further to the next 8 weeks, they don't play round 12, but after that, they've got the Knights, Dolphins, and Sharks. Dolphins and Sharks, you can maybe argue, is a little bit more difficult. But long term, it's not a terrible run. As I want to keep reiterating, it's really the Storm and the Bulldogs, I think, are the 2 matchups that I really want to be avoiding, and Sharks probably to a lesser degree. Ideally, if you can avoid those 3 teams, I think generally the run's not too bad. We saw good things from Penrith, so they may start factoring into our thinking in terms of teams to avoid. But the Dragons don't play Penrith again until round 27, so you don't really need to worry about it from that point of view. So I'm for example, I'm a Gutherson owner, still unsure what I'm going to be doing. I think I'll probably just keep him for the time being. Just quickly going back to the SuperCoach website, and Jay Schubert on Twitter has Gutherson projected for a 6k loss, but he's coming into 136 break even. I can see some people probably start moving on him. He's made good money, 133k. The last couple of weeks have been a little bit down. He did get a try assist in this game as well, but we know he's got these big scores in him. It's just the last, 3 of the last 4 games, if you want to think about it that way. They've been sub 70 scores, even sub 60, I want to say. So I think with fullback, Pappy is continuing to do really well. Tedesco is going to be a big option coming into this round. Drinkwater as well, coming off his bye. Ponga is at serious value. Like, I know people might not want to say go and buy Kalen Ponga, but he could be sub 600k. Gutherson down to him could free you more than 250k going Gutherson to Ponga, and Ponga's run is probably better in terms of upcoming games. So I can understand people wanting to move off of Gutherson. I'm not quite sure if that's what I'll be doing next week because I have other trades I might need to prioritize, but I think he's okay to sell. and it's mainly because there's so many other good quality options at fullback. I'd prefer Tedesco. Drinkwater's got the Titans coming up next week, goal kicking. I definitely prefer him at least for next week. And then you got Pappy there. So there probably are now maybe other fullbacks I'd start prioritizing over Gutherson. He's probably not presenting value at his price, so I can understand wanting, if you're in a luxury position where you feel like you don't need to make too many other moves, I can see an argument to sell him, free up money going down to a Ponga, or even, to a Drinkwater. You're probably freeing up like 100k. Allows you to make some other moves as well. I don't hate that particular strategy. Not many other talking points, I guess, out of the Dragons. Dylan Egan with 49 points. I just want to quickly check what his minutes were in this particular game, so just bear with me for a second. So, he played 72 minutes. So again, the minutes were very good, so not really too concerning on that. He did play that hybrid middle and edge role, as he did last week. Still, 49 points is pretty solid. It's not obviously the huge base power work rate that he got from last week, but he's still projected to make 87k and have a negative 25 break even. So he's still going to be a great money maker for us. And I think if he keeps punching at 50s, he's going to be one of those players who probably will continue to make good money. Never going to be a serious problem, just because you know that he's at least going to punch out 50s. So not one I'm looking at cashing out anytime soon. I guess we've probably got other issues or other cheapies that we do need to start culling before the likes of Dylan Egan. Probably the other notable news I wanted to mention quickly was is it Matt Fiangay? He got a pretty significant injury in this game, so you probably would expect Sione Fainu, Finau, the winger who scored all the tries in the preseason. He's likely to come into this team now. Tui Pelotu's probably not expected back until round 13. So we know that the Dragons' left edge, and especially that left wing spot, has been good. So just keep him on your radar. He's 279k. Could be a good kind of cheapie to downgrade one of your other centers to, if he gets named in round 8, which I'm expecting, given that there was a significant injury for Fiangay. Val Holmes pretty solid with 65, but apart from that, not many other talking points, I guess, out of the Dragons. I'm probably not looking at investing heavily, into them. On the Manly side of things, probably the same thing as well. They've got the Penrith Panthers coming into this week, and then the bye, and then the Sharks on the other side of that. So you're probably not looking at investing in any of these Manly players, but they do play round 12, so that you do still need to keep an eye on these players, because a lot of them could be available for that first major bye round. Lehigh Hopewadi was really good in this one with 87 points. Just shows, I think, that when he's playing at fullback and Turbo's out of the team, he's a good Supercoach option. A lot of us just didn't jump on him when Turbo originally got his injury, because we looked at the upcoming run of games and thought they weren't the best on paper, going into a bye as well. And Turbo's been touted potentially to even come back in round 8 as well. So they'll see Hopewadi probably go back to the wing, and then I think probably loses a bit of Supercoach appeal. Ben Trbojevic scored a try in this one for 67, so solid enough from him, but no one else really of note, I think, over 60 for Manly. A bit of a down game for Garrick, only the 39 points, nothing really in terms of major attacking stats in this one, just some goal kicks and then just his general work rate, a little bit down in this particular game. He will lose a decent amount of money, so he had 103 break even coming into this week. Jay Schubert's got him projected to lose about 54k with 100 break even. But again, I'm not really thinking about selling Garrick. He plays round 12, which is against Parramatta. I'll actually quickly jump across here as well. So if you look at Manly's next 8, draw is not fantastic. Actually, I lie. It's not bad. So once you get past Penrith, bye, and the Sharks, then you get Cowboys, Parramatta, Broncos, Knights, and Titans. The thing with Garrick and a lot of these Manly players, in those major bye rounds, they've got good matchups. So Parramatta and Titans in round 12 and 15. That's why I didn't really want to sell Garrick last week. So again, yes, you'll lose some money, but I'm not really too worried about that, because I know I'm going to want to keep him during this period of time. So that's probably all my thoughts, I guess, on that particular game. Olukwatu, a bit of a down game as well with 46. Again, if you've got Olukwatu, I think he's probably not a sell, unless you think he's going to play Origin. Then he will miss a couple of games during that period of time. You can maybe reevaluate after the Penrith matchup when he's on the bye in round 9, because as it proves, there are a lot of good secondary forwards going around at the moment. Someone like Toby Couchman as well is killing it. On to the next game, the Bulldogs versus the Rabbitohs on the Good Friday clash. Again, just absolute defense masterclass from the Bulldogs, keeping another team to nil. I just want to reiterate, I think this is the team you want to be avoiding having your attacking players come up against, because of course on any given day a player can score a try, and if they've got decent base stats in that game, they'll do well. but you just consistently are seeing such good defensive numbers from the Bulldogs. The highest scoring opponent in this game was Tavita Totola with 53. None of the attacking players are going to do well in this one. Peter Mamazelis with 43. Just on Mamazelis, so I think he's effectively peaked in price now. He had a break even of 58 and he scored 43. He's made 164k to this point, so he's done his job. But he will have a 50 break even coming into next week as well. So again, maybe not an urgent sell, but the Rabbitohs do have a pretty tough run of games coming up. So if I just want to quickly slide back to here, if you look at the next 8 weeks, they've got Melbourne. So obviously they just had the Dogs. Then they've got Melbourne away coming in round 8. And top of my head, I don't think the Rabbitohs have got a very good record going to Amy Park. Newcastle, Broncos, Tigers after that's not terrible, but they do miss out in round 12. I think if I'm someone who's got a Mamazelis or even shopping in hooker, because I know a lot of people, obviously, there's a lot of injury carnage as well. I should have mentioned that earlier in the video. But so many players, like Jaden Campbell, 4 to 5 weeks. Fafita, 4 to 5 weeks out pre-game. Harry Grant was originally 4 to 6 weeks. I think that was a bit downgraded to maybe potentially 2 weeks at least. But there was a lot of issues at hooker for people. Connor Watson did well this week, but he's got the bye coming up in round 10. I think if you're someone like Mamazelis, if you've got Mamazelis who's like 450k, Blake Brayley from the Sharks is probably who I'd be looking at. He scored solidly in this week. He had a couple of try assists, and he plays round 12 as well. That's the main thing. He misses round 13, but Blake Brayley, I suspect, won't play Origin. He's a safe 80-minute hooker. I think he's probably the one I'd be moving to if you wanted to cash in like a Tom Starling or Mamazelis. Tom Starling also had a bit of a down game this week as well. So that's why we've got to be looking if I'm shopping around at hooker. There's just not a lot of fantastic options going around. Latrell is set to lose big amounts of money. So he only scored 25 points in this one. He's set to lose about 103k and a projected break even of 142. It'll be very interesting to see where he gets named, because if he gets named at 5'8" again next week, then based on the way that Supercoach do the dual positioning, in round 12, when the next set of changes come in, he's probably going to get 5'8" added to his fullback status. And I think he will be 100% owned probably at 5'8". Like, for example, this is another reason why I thought of getting Dewey this week, because if I can eventually convert one of my cashed up centers to Latrell Mitchell via Dewey, that would be amazing. And then I can have Munster and Latrell Mitchell, or you can go Jaden Campbell when he's back from his injury. But Latrell, very, 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 very interesting watch to see where he gets named tomorrow on TLT for round 8. And Lockie Hubner, down game in this one, but he did suffer a Cat 1 HIA, so he's going to be out next week. Thankfully, that means because he's out, he's not going to change in price next week. So if you wanted to eventually cash him in, you could wait a week if you're prioritizing other moves. He's projected to have a 51 break even and then a 14k price rise. So in total, he would have made about 140k. Not to say he still can't make more money, because he was generally punching around the mid 40s to 50s. So with a 51 break even, he's still probably okay to hold even for a little bit of time. I'm just going to remind myself, do the Rabbitohs play round 12? They don't play round 12, so you don't even need to necessarily look at him as an option for that week. He does play round 13 though. So again, he could just be one of those really handy guys who, not Origin affected, in those mini bye weeks where you have 3 teams who are out, but you still need to fill the full 17. Guys like this that you can just call upon who might punch out 45 to 50, they're very valuable. So he's not even an urgent sell from that point of view, because generally up until now he's been pretty well from a Supercoach point of view. But obviously a bit of a down game in this one, which is a bit of a frustrating one, because it just means it's going to cap how much potential money he could have made. For the Bulldogs, so we were speaking about 5'8" a little bit earlier, so I'll quickly talk about Matt Burton. He scored 65 points in this one, had a couple of line breaks, but otherwise the rest was all kind of his just general work rate and stuff. Actually, he got a couple of line break assists I want to add in there, so because he's generally a low base player, but he wasn't goal kicking in this one. So despite being back, Stephen Crichton was still goal kicking. That's why Crichton scored very well in this game. He had 77 points, 24 of which came from goal kicks. I suspect Matt Burton will take it back. I can't remember off the top of my head what Burton's injury was, but I'm wondering if maybe they just wanted to get him back on in this week and maybe not further aggravate it or not risk it by having him goal kick. Stephen Crichton's a pretty good goal kicker, so they said, you keep it for the week. Let's see if Matt Burton picks it back up next week. Hopefully we get some intel around whether he will pick it back up next week, because I do think if you are a Jaden Campbell owner still from next week and you're looking to sell, Burton's probably one of your better 5'8 options to go for, especially if goal kicking. Long-term draw for the Dogs is also quite good. So according to my own draw difficulty, I've got them second over the next 8 rounds. If he doesn't play Origin, in round 12 he's got the Dolphins, which should be a decent matchup. Dolphins won't have like Hamiso Tabuai Fido, I suspect, in that game. But they've got Titans in round 9, a couple of okay home matches with the Roosters and the Dolphins. In round 14, they've got Parramatta. Like, long term, there's just no real tough games. The Bulldogs are the tough game as it currently stands. And I don't think they play Melbourne for a while. So someone like a Burton could also be a very feasible option at 5'8". Obviously, see how Dill Brown goes this week. But see how Dill Brown goes today. But Dill Brown has the bye in round 8, so he's hard to invest in particular in next week's game. So yeah, Burton could be someone, if you are needing to fill the 5'8", I would be looking at for sure. If you don't already own like a Cam Munster, I mean, Munster's probably the one to go for, but he will be Origin affected. Melbourne don't have a terrible bye schedule though for Origin players, so I wouldn't let Origin put you off if Munster's the one that you want. I would probably rate Munster just above Burton, but if you already have a Munster or you are concerned about the Origin risk, then Burton is probably the one I'd be going for, because he even showed last year he can get these runs where he just goes mid-60s, 70s and doesn't really go much under that, because the goal kicking really does help his floor. And the way that the Bulldogs are going, if he can get between 15 to 20 points a week in goal kicking, that's gold. Max King, huge in this one, 112 points, did score a try to boost up his score. Looked back at his score so far, he's kind of been generally around the 50s, 60s, so pretty much at value, but he's not someone who generally is a big try scorer, so I wouldn't really be looking at him from SuperCoach point of view. Jacob Preston has been really good again in this one, another try getting an 87. With that run that we looked at, and with the Bulldogs are one of the few teams that do cover every major bye round. There is some chat that he potentially is an Origin bolter. I think that there's probably more back rollers for New South Wales who would get picked ahead of him, but still potentially is a risk. But I still like him. He played on the right in this one, not on the left, but he still managed to get his attacking stats. Had a break even of 13, so he's going to go up a fair amount of money. So Jay Schubert's got him projected to go up 61k. So he will be in the low 700s, which does feel a little bit expensive for Preston, especially when you knew that you could have picked him up at around, the early 600s at the beginning of the year. But he is still a good option when it comes to SuperCoach if you are looking to invest, because generally his base stats are pretty good as well. So in this particular game, yes, he did score his line break try, but I'm pretty sure he still had base power over 50. We're looking at 38 plus 18, 56 in base power in this particular game, which is generally around what he delivers. Josh Curran scored back-to-back tries as well, so he's scored another good one of 84. Jacob Kiraz, so I was very keen on him on the Tuesday stream. In the end, I did eventually trade to him. Very happy with that decision. So he scored 84 points. He did get a try assist, line break assist for Satili Tupanuas, but apart from that, just really good underlying work rate again. So looking at 12 points in tackle busts, 16 points in offloads, that's 28 points there, plus the 2 in tackles, that's 30, plus 34 in runs. 64 base power from Jacob Kiraz, just backing up the 61 that he scored in his first game back. Definitely is a gun center to target. His projected break even, I think, coming into next week is 72. So if you have other issues that you need to deal with, he's not going to get massively out of reach when it comes to his price if he bangs out another kind of 70 to 80, but he will be a definite target, especially with that Bulldogs draw that we did speak about earlier. Next week with Broncos away, then it's the Titans, and that game's at Suncorp, so that generally should be a good track. He is passing the eye test as well. I think he will definitely be a run home centre wing, and the fact that he plays round 12 with a good matchup, he'll be gold for that week as well. Some talk as well that he's potentially an Origin risk just because of Lomax being injured currently, as well as Brian To'o. That is one thing you just need to be wary of. I still think that you've got 4 weeks before that happens where he might miss out round 12. If that happens and he is playing Origin and he misses round 12, 13, look, he probably will be a sell. But hopefully you're still at a point in the season where you've got the trades to get him in, and then if you need to make that decision then you can move on. Otherwise, if you want to play it super safe, you can go and get like a Herbie Farnworth, who scored very well this week. He also plays round 12, but it is against the Bulldogs, so it's a pretty tough matchup that week for Herbie, but he's pretty safe generally for underlying base stats. Bronson Cherry and Connor Tracy both with 80 plus scores. I know Connor Tracy's attracted a bit of interest. Some people always do mention him in terms of being a potential option, especially at centre wing. We always like fullbacks who we can pick up in other positions because fullbacks generally score the best Supercoach wise. Just a bit up and down for me, although famous last words, because I said that about Hudson Young, and since I said that, he's just gone absolute and killed it. But yeah, Tracy, 90, 63, 53, 62, 36, and 80. He is a bit up and down. The points just get shared around at the Dogs, so it's hard to kind of reliably say this is the guy who's going to consistently get the big attacking stats. Carraz, has got good work rate. That's why he's a little bit different. Preston and Carraz are probably the two that I'm most looking at, I think, out of the Bulldogs, and Matt Burton as well, if you are shopping at 5'8". Kick out a bit of a down game in this one, only the 49 points on his return game. So moving to the Dolphins and Storm. So yeah, we spoke about Herbie Farnworth just then. Big game from him and the Dolphins, winning 42-22. 98 points for Farnworth in this one. Did score a try, but again, good underlying base power stats. That's why you buy him. He's got that really good floor. Like 19 plus 18, I don't know what's that, 37, plus 12 points in offload, that's 49. Plus the 22 points in runs. You're looking at what's that, 71 in base power? Like unbelievable stuff. So he's also definitely a run home centre wing consideration. I think if you are concerned with the potential origin risk for Carraz and you are thinking bring in this person and you never have to worry about him being an origin risk, Herbie Farnworth is the man for that. He had a very big game in this one. In terms of upcoming draw as well, for the Dolphins, let's just have a quick look at that. It's kind of middle of the road. It's not terrible actually. So they've got the Raiders and then they've got the Roosters at Magic Round, I believe. Then it's Parramatta, Warriors, and then it's the Dogs, but it's the Dogs in round 12. Maybe they'll lose Stephen Crichton to Origin. Potentially maybe Matt Burton and maybe Carraz. In general, the Bulldogs I think will still be a tough opposition. And then he misses round 13. But again, the next few weeks are still pretty good. And look, he scored 98 versus Melbourne. So matchups probably don't matter so much for him when he's got very good base stats. For example, looking at the matchups as well, he's round 9, he'll be running at Rob Toyer and Dom Young's wing. I don't think that's been the strongest wing or edge defense of the Roosters. Parramatta, we know, have been leaking points. They might be a bit more improved by that point because of Mitch Moses' return. But long term, I think you don't really need to worry so much about the draw. He's got one tough matchup against the Melbourne Storm out of his way. He's got the Bulldogs in round 12, but aside from that, generally the matchups are pretty good. So I do like Herbie Farnworth as a centre wing trade-in as well, as a good target for this week. Fortunately, he had a 79 break-even, so he's not going to be going up massively in price, even with a 98. So he's projected to go up 16k. So he'll pretty much be just flat 700k. That's still a discount to his original price, so he probably is good value. And he'll have a projected break-even of 41. So next week probably is the right time to jump on Herbie, I think, if you are thinking about him for your teams. Isaiah Katoa absolutely killed it in this one, just had the ball on a string. 60 points, he had 5 try assists in this game, but didn't crack 100, but most of them were from kicks, so not many line break assists in this one. Yeah, he just had the one line break assist. Look, people may have issues at halfback, but I think if you already own Cleary, and then I think a lot of people may have already made their bed with Jerome Hughes or Nico Hines. Isaiah Katoa is probably someone I think we just have to say, good job, but sorry, we've missed out on you, and I don't think we're going to be able to jump on, but he's going to be making good money as well. He's made 133k as it stands. If we see more of this, then sure, we can maybe have the discussion, but me personally, I've already got Hughes and Cleary. I'm not looking probably at making trades at halfback. Cleary maybe during the origin period, maybe at that time you can reassess, but as it currently stands, I think yes, he's doing well, but probably not a consideration for me. Ray Stone scored a double in this game. I wouldn't be expecting that most weeks, but a good week from him with 83 points. Not many more things, I think, out of the Dolphins. Max Plath got an injury early in this game, 15 points. So that's going to be a bit of a blow. Again, he's now not an option for people who are looking at buying a hooker. Initial reports that I've seen, I think, are 4 to 5 weeks, but not as certain on that. So obviously we'll just wait for further news, or I'll just go and read NRL Physio's tweets and confirm that. Obviously a down game from the Storm. Pappy still scored well, 78 points. He was my vice captain, but it wasn't enough for me, I think, to take the loot. Fingers crossed that pays off. I've got Terrell May as captain this afternoon. But yeah, try goal kicking. Missed his first goal, I think, in ages. I think if you listen to his 167 podcast earlier in the week, it does sound like he will hand the goal kicking back to Nick Meaney when he's back. Hopefully not though, because Pappy goal kicking, it just is really good for SuperCoach because as you can see here, it bumped up 10 points to his score. So 68 versus 78, it feels quite different. But yeah, Pappy, I think if you didn't buy this week, it feels tough to decide to invest now. You have got other options like Tedesco, Drinkwater, Ponga is so cheap. Gutherson is still there as well. There's a lot of other good fullback options to go for. Pappy is, while goal kicking though, still in my top 3. Timing though of when to buy him probably felt like this was the week. So with 78 points, he's going up 50k with a 23 break even. To be fair, with the 23 break even, he's still going to be making good money. He's still going to be making some money as well, but he'll be getting up to 770k. It starts to feel a little bit more difficult to invest in him. Although I say that, plays the Rabbitohs at home this week, then it's the Raiders, then it's the West Tigers. The draw is still really good. Nick Meaney's, I think, due back around round 9. So he's still maybe going to get at least 1, maybe 2 weeks of a goal-kicking Pappenhausen. But even then, if he's not goal-kicking, playing the Tigers at home, that could be a very good matchup as well. So, I still don't hate the Pappy purchase, put it that way, despite him still going up in price. Not many other big scores from the Storm. Jerome Hughes only 61 points. Xavier Coates backed up his big score last week with a solid enough score of 60. And Munster 55 generally is about his floor. He was awarded a try assist, which he got taken off, which was correct in my opinion. So he just got downgraded to just a try contribution. But yeah, 55 points with only a try contribution. That's pretty much Munster's floor. So again, I think he would be 5'8 target number 1 for me if you are selling a Jaden Campbell and don't already own Munster. And Eli Katoa had a very, very down game in this one. I didn't watch all of this game. Supposedly he was awarded a try which got pulled back. I did also see that he was very close to get a try off a Jerome Hughes kick. So he seemed close to his attacking stats, but obviously just a very down game for him. As it currently stands, he's going to probably drop out of my team score in the final wash-up. All right, looking at the Warriors and the Broncos. So the Warriors winning this one in Golden Point with a penalty kick to Luke Metcalf. Leka Halasima absolutely killed this one. So he had 72 points, which included a try. He was named to start as well. Good little second row forward, sneaky cheapie, I think, for people who are looking at one. He was 317k and had a score of 1. And his projected increase in price is about 60k. And he's going to have another break even of 0. So it's going to be very awkward pricely. He'll be awkwardly priced now. If he goes up to like 377k, at your second row, it feels a bit difficult as to who would you sell to try to make money. So I think he's probably not going to be someone who I will target myself. He played 69 minutes starting on the edge, which is good. The minutes were good because of Fisher Harris being injured, and also someone else was out for the Warriors, I want to say. That's right. Dylan Walker moving to the Eels opened up more minutes in the middle. Then Fisher Harris also got injured, so that's what made him start in the end. So he could keep that starting role, but it does feel like someone who I'm not sure if you'd still invest in at this point in time. Not many other massive scores from the Warriors. I mean, Jackson Ford is okay with 67, pretty solid. Mitch Barnett, 63. Barnett was a gun last year, but it does have origin risk, I guess, coming into this year. And no one else scored over 60. Luke Metcalf, 56 points. Goal kicking wasn't... Luckily, he kicked the winning goal kick, but he missed a lot of goal kicks in this one. So yeah, negative 8 points. Again, just shows he is very attacking stat reliant. Doesn't really have good work rate. Scored 56 points in this one, which included his goal kicks, a try assist, and a try as well. So again, you could maybe go back to Metcalf if you are selling Jaden Campbell, because you might say, well, his goal kicking Warriors seem to be doing decently well, but he's just too attacking stat reliant for me. I'm just a bit scared. For example, Munster is a very different price category, is way more expensive, but I feel way more comfortable knowing that Munster pulls out 55 with 1 try contribution versus Metcalf, who gets 56 with a try assist and goal kicks. It just feels like too much attack needs to happen for him to even score okay. Not much more, I think, out of the Warriors. Ali Leitao, I know some people still had him. He had a 98 break even and only scored 18 points in this one. Not sure if there's any injury in that one. I'm just going to quickly double check the minutes just to make sure that maybe there's not an injury that I'm missing here. No, he played the full 80 minutes, so just a down game in this one. Set to lose a lot of money. I think if you are someone who owns, Warriors draw. Let's just have a quick look at it. So long term, it's okay. So we've got the Knights at home, then the Cowboys, Dragons, and Dolphins, and does play round 12 and round 13. But I think at his price, he's projected to lose about 67k and have a 103 break even going into next week. He'll be early 500ks. I think center's a position though that's too important. You've got Herbie, you've got Karaz, you've got Garrick, Mars, who's gone and absolutely killed it this week. I'm sure there's other centers who I've not thought about who've scored well also. Dylan Lucas could be back as well, who might just be only about 100k more expensive. I think Leitao would be probably a sell for me. You probably can't have scores like that, I think, from an 80-minute. And it's normally centers generally have better base stats than your wingers. Generally that is the case. Like Jesse Arthur's had more base than Ali Leitao in this one, if that's what you want to hear. Payne Haas, very good in this one, 85 points. I think he played something in the 60s in terms of minutes. I'm just going to have a quick double check here. Played 61 minutes, so decent minutes in this one for 85. I know a fair few people who did captain him. Again, very solid score. I took that. I've taken this approach this week just to go with this boring save captain and hope that it paid off. 85 points from Haas and then 79 from Carrigan. Very good. And Katoni Staggs with 75 in this one, although if you've watched this channel for long enough, you know that I'm generally a bit scarred by Katoni Staggs in my team. 75 points though, all pretty much in base power. Has got a line break, but a lot of tackle busts in this one. He can do these games, but I just feel like he's always going to regress back to that kind of mid-50s averaging player, like 68, 34, 43, and now there's 75. Generally all averages out to about, around the mid-50s. So probably not an option for me. Shibasaki with 55 in this game, so I did play him in the end. I changed my trades as well, so I was originally thinking of maybe getting like a Shibasaki to Billy Smith, but luckily I was able to be flexible this week and I ended up selling Jaden Campbell instead and reverse the Shibasaki out trade because I wasn't that keen on making that move anyway. And Jaden Campbell to Dewey freed up more money for me to fund getting Karaz in this week, and I sold Tuipulotu for Karaz, which Tuipulotu had to go anyway. So Shibasaki was solid in this one, 45 in base power because he did get a line break in this game. So he has a projected break even coming into next round of 48, losing about 17k. On the flip side, Arthur's 45 points in this one, which included a line break try, and he's got a projected break even of 63 and losing about 2k. They come up against the Bulldogs next week, so we know that that's a very, very tough matchup. Coming into this round, I was always thinking I'd rather keep Arthur's over Shibasaki just because of, one, Shibasaki's made more money, but I thought also the upside is with Arthur's, which probably is still true. But knowing that Arthur's has got a 60-something break even, my concern is that if because he base started very poorly in this one. I think he had about 20 points in base power, which, we're looking at 1 point in tackles, 4 in tackle busts, 5, plus 20 points of base power in this game, which we know that Arthur's is a low base player. My concern is that if they come up against the Bulldogs and he gets no attacking stats and he scores 20 with a break even of 63, he'll start to leak cash and really quickly leak cash as well. With Shibasaki, he's already lost a little bit of money. He's still though at a good price. He'll be about 500k. Still in total would have made like 260 something k. I may potentially sell both of them next week. That might be the potential plan. I might use my 5th boost next week because I think Arthur's, I don't want to be keeping him, I think, versus the Bulldogs. It's just, I can just see that being a really low game and then that really starts tanking his potential price growth. And I don't think the Broncos have got such a good draw that I feel like there are big matchups that I want to be targeting playing Arthur's for. Maybe round 10 and round 11. But, round 8 is Bulldogs. Then it's Penrith away. Actually, it's not away, sorry. It's at Suncorp in Magic Ground. But sure, Penrith edges haven't been the best, but, they performed well this week. It's still not a matchup that I'm just going to say, oh yeah, I love Jesse Arthur's going to play him in that one. Then he misses round 12. I think with Arthur's, I'm probably hopefully looking at moving him on next week. Shibasaki, if I had to keep, I don't mind it because at least he's got okay base stats, but he's made so much money. If he's like my ticket to a Herbie Farnworth, for example, if you go Arthur, like a perfect set of moves could be Arthur's down to Billy Smith, that frees up maybe 150k, and then you've got Shibasaki up to Herbie Farnworth. To me, that's like perfect use of two centers who've made good money, getting a downgrade who's going to make more money, and getting up to a gun. Those could be potentially my 2 moves with those 2 players. So yeah, I think I'm looking at moving them on. Shibasaki, I'm less concerned about holding. Arthur's a bit more concerned just because of his low base. And I feel like that Bulldogs matchup really could start hemorrhaging any cash that he's made so far. Other news, Reece Walsh picked up a knee injury pretty much in the first tackle of the game, I think, and he's projected to be out for 4 to 5 weeks. So I think he'll probably be a sell for sure. So at his price, 600, low 600Ks, I mean, you can sell to Kalen Ponga and make money on that one, which is ridiculous to say. I mean, if you don't own Ponga and you have no money in the bank, he's probably the guy you go to. Otherwise, I think if you've got money in the bank, Reece Walsh to Drinkwater is going to cost you about 100K. We'll get onto the Roosters in the next one, but Tedesco's probably also your bet. Tedesco's probably going to be your best bet if you're selling Reece Walsh coming into next round. Nothing much more to comment on that one. So let's talk about the Roosters and the Panthers. So yeah, big performance from the Panthers. Looked a bit more back to what we expect to see from the Penrith Panthers. Like even that try that Dylan Edwards scored at the end, that looked like a good classic Penrith move. I'm a Roosters fan watching this game, so my team's getting hammered. But even that last try that Edwards scored, I was like, that was a good try. Slick passing. That's what you expect to see out of Penrith. Unfortunately, met my boy Tom Jenkins just caught a cold out in the wing. Casey McLean just has absolute glue hands on him. So yeah, with Jenkins, let's quickly just talk about him since I'm mentioning him. So he had a projected break even of 12. He is projected to have a break even coming into this round of 47 and making 21K. So in total, he would have made over 200K. Look, 47 break even is not great, but it's not a huge break even. They do have some okay matchups coming up. So I think, yeah, they've got Manly next week, who aren't the best on the edges. Like, I'd probably sell Arthur's over. I'd probably sell in order Arthur's, Jenkins, then Shibasaki. But I think the fact with Jenkins is that while he's still in the team, it's a gun Penrith team, he still potentially can get big attack stats. The issue is that he's got Casey McLean playing inside of him, and he doesn't like throwing the ball. That's the one big downside with Jenkins. So, Casey McLean scored a try in this one for 68. When Edwards was doing that play, I was like, please just pass it to my winger, who I played. Didn't quite work out. But overall, it was still a good performance from the Panthers. Edwards went huge with 134. So, scored a try, a couple of try assists in this one. Look, he could maybe be a sneaky option up until the Origin period. So, if you look at Penrith's draw, it's kind of middle of the road. Manly, Broncos, Cowboys. Then they have the bye in round 11. It would only be a 3-week play, because if you expect that Edwards is going to play Origin, then he'll miss round 11 and then he's going to miss round 12. And he'll also miss round 15 with his team's bye anyway. So he will be missing a fair few games in that point of time. It's a good score from him, but I think I'm probably going to be looking elsewhere, just because that is going to be using a lot of trades to bring him in and bring him out. And I think with a performance like that, probably solidifies that, yeah, he'll probably just remain the New South Wales fullback, and more performances like that, he'll keep that jersey, you'd think. Cleary, very big in this one, 116 points. This is an example of just, I think we refer to it sometimes as being the accumulator. This is the accumulator on steroids. Like, no try assists or tries in this one, but he had 3 try contributions, 28 points in goals, 20 tackles, 18 points in forced dropouts, a couple of tackle busts, some runs, some offloads, and he gets 116 points. This is King Cleary, basically. It's not even junk points, which he is also very good at. It's just him being involved in everything, and just a lot of forced dropouts probably being the big kicker there, and a lot of goal kicks. But congrats to anyone who captained him. I think he was fairly well captained this week. He always is a safe captaincy option generally. I just didn't do it this week because I thought one was against my own team, and still not quite sure how Penrith's attack was going to go. But very encouraging signs this week. That was his first 100, I think, of the season. He's pretty highly owned as well, so probably not much more talking about him, but he's always going to be a safe captain option. And Alamotti was very big in this game as well with 105. I think he's been frustrating for anyone who bought, because I think people bought him after he went big. Penrith had their slump and he did very badly. People probably sold, and now he's gone again and scored 105. Isaiah, solid as ever with 72 points in this one. Lindsay Smith, a bit of a slightly down game, but he was coming off the bench in this one and he scored 57. So probably not much more from the Penrith side of things. For the Roosters, be very keen to see what the team list will look like for this week, just to see if Billy Smith hopefully does get named, because then he becomes a great cheapy option to downgrade to this week. Connor Watson, 86 points. He's probably been, to be honest, I'd have to say he's probably been my best round 1 pick, because I've just never had to worry about the hooker position with him there. He's had some games where he scores like low 50s. He had 100 earlier in the season. He's scored 86 this week. I believe he scored something in the 70s last week as well. Yeah, his low game was 30 in round 3, where I think he picked up an injury. But like outside of that, his low scores were 55, and he's also chucked in some bigger games, 103, 78. He would probably be a great hooker to trade in. The issue is he's got the round 10 bye, and I just don't think you can trade him in, because if you think he's going to be playing Origin, Roosters have probably got the worst schedule for their Origin players, because the fact they play all of the major bye weeks, the Origin players are already going to miss out on that. Plus all those extra mini buys that the Roosters have, they're just going to be missing too many games. Like if you look at it here, Connor Watson will miss round 10, he'll miss round 12, miss round 14, and miss round 15. So like in my own team, I'm going to have to probably sell him when it comes to that point, which I'm not looking forward to, because the options at hooker aren't amazing, especially with Harry Grant now getting injured as well for a couple of weeks. But we'll deal with that problem when we get there. For now, he's been very solid. Dan Tupou also good in this one. Dan Tupou scores coincide very well with when he plays with Nwangani-Tawasi. So just something to maybe be mindful of if you do see him paired with him. Although Billy Smith could come back there and that might change things. But I believe his big games were all with Marky Mark inside of him. So Tupou is always a solid option. Could be a bit of a point of difference. Naf White I benched this week because he had a bit of a down game last week, and then he goes and plays 61 minutes for 76 points. Like, he just absolutely killed it. So that wasn't great to see on my non-player reserves this round. But look, it is what it is. It's good though, because it means that he's not going to be losing too much in price. I think break-evens wise, his break-even coming into next round is going to be 56. He's going to lose about $2,000. So you'll probably just hold it value. And I think if I can upgrade him to some gun secondary forwards, I might. Otherwise, he's probably just going to be a hold for me just during this Origin period, because Lindsay Collins is out. Nat Butcher is probably going to be out now as well. He picked up an injury. The minutes just keep coming for him. And if he's going to punch out mid-50s plus, very safe hold. So I think for me, I'm just going to be keeping him for the time being. On Tedesco, 65 points. Look, I'd still be very encouraged with 65 points from Teddy, because this is effectively his floor. So he only had one try contribution in this one. Otherwise, all of his points. He had a few line break assists, which I didn't note before. I thought he had more runs in this one, but yeah, only 19 points in runs. That's low from Teddy, and only 8 points in tackle bust, also low. Because if you look at his previous scores, if I just quickly pull this up. So if you look at his previous scores, and if you look at his tackle bust scores, in 4 of the 5 weeks before that, he was scoring over 20 points just in tackle busts. And he scored 8 this round, probably a function of course, being Penrith and a tough matchup. And if you look at his runs, way down this week as well. I think that's not going to be the norm. I think this is more of an outlier. And he still scored 65 points. Look, with his break even this week, which was, let me have a quick look, it was 71. He's effectively going down only a little bit in price. His break even will be big. Yeah, he's got a projected break even of 106. But it's an Anzac Day clash against the Dragons, which he does, I believe, do traditionally quite well in. Just going to have a quick look. If you look at his last 3 scores versus the Dragons, 149, 81, and 75. I think if I can make the money work, he will probably be coming into my team this week. I think that performance from Edwards was encouraging, because my concern was that, does he play New South Wales and miss all of those games? But if he doesn't, he's going to be a must-own during that period, because he plays all the major and mini bye weeks. So I think for me, Teddy will probably be coming in. There is probably a discussion about round 10, because the Roosters do have the bye. I've got Toya, Naf White, Sanders Smith, Connor Watson. If I buy Tedesco and Billy Smith, I will be very, very short that week. That's probably the only thing you just need to be mindful of. In my own team, I've got lots of Roosters players. They're pretty relevant when it comes to like cheapies and stuff. You just need to be aware of round 10. There will be lots of players in your squad missing, but that's still probably not enough to put me off buying Tedesco, I think, because I think that matchup against the Dragons is really good. Then he's got the Dolphins at magic round, I believe, in round 9. So Teddy, I think, we're just going to be a set and forget fullback during that origin period. So I think any point you can buy him is good. Toya was good in this one with 58, so that should spark a little bit of cash gen. He had a break even of 26, so projected to make 27k and have another 21 break even, which is good to see. With Sanders Smith, so quickly looking at him, he's going to make 10k, projected break even of 56. For me, I think they've made good money, but I'm not really looking at them as like absolute cash sells or just to cash in, because they play all those major bye weeks. For Sanders Smith, it just depends on the return of Sam Walker. But I think otherwise I'm not overly concerned with holding on to these guys. On the Titans and Raiders, so in the end, Raiders winning this one despite a good start from the Titans. I mean, Hudson Young's just putting absolute mud on my face, because ever since I said, he's a bit of a roller coaster, just be wary, he just said, well, screw you, I'm just going to go huge. So 91, 42, 110, 109, now 126. 3 tons in a row. And he's just backing up what he did last year, which was him being the second rower who scored the most tons. He's scored doubles in every single of the last 3 weeks, which is just ridiculous. He is attacking stat reliant. He's just getting them that, which is just, it's very annoying, because you're like, can you just like, please stop? especially as a non-owner. If you're an owner, I think all you can say is congrats, because he's pretty low owned. He's only a 4% ownership player, but he's just going to be going too expensive now, I think. 728k and projected break even of 19, making 102k. Look, I couldn't pay 680k for Hudson Young. I'm not paying 800k. I'm trying not to be biased, because he's made my take look really bad. He has benefited from good matchups the last few weeks. Dolphins is still good, but then it's Melbourne. Then it's the Bulldogs. Titans again. But you'd have to think he plays Origin. So I think he'll miss round 12. So I think it's just probably one of those ones where it's like, you know what, I think the ship is somewhat sailed. Unfortunate to say as it is. Just on the Raiders, they've got a very, very good long-term draw. So after the Bulldogs and Melbourne in round 9-10, back-to-back, they don't play Penrith until round 25. And they don't play the Sharks for the rest of the season, nor Melbourne, nor Dogs. So they pretty much have one of the softest runs, I think, for the run home. Just something to be mindful of if you are looking at maybe in Matty Nicholson. Nicholson still played 80 minutes this week, which I'm very, very happy about. Even with the return of Zach Hosking. Hosking played exclusively middle. 43 is probably the floor for Nicholson. If he gets attacking stats like we saw last week, he pumped out a 70. While he's still making money and probably close to peaking in price, they play round 12. A lot of the major bye weeks are covered by them. Just a really good long-term draw as well. Same with Corey Horsburgh. He's maybe a little bit different, where you might want to sell during Origin, because his minutes were down in this one. He only played 48 minutes, but he's not my biggest problem in my team. Scored 53. I'm not really too worried about the horse, and the dual status is also super handy. Tamale was good in this game, 89 points. So hopefully those who held on to him played him this week. It was a good matchup against the Titans, so hopefully you did. Because he scored a try in this one with lots of tackle busts as well, and 34 points in runs. So the work rate was actually really up in this particular game. In terms of what that's going to do for his price, he's projected to go up 24k, break even of 33. I think the fact that he's got that round 12 coverage as well, I'd probably just look to hold him ideally if you can, unless he's the only ticket you have to like your Carrazas, your Farnworths and things, where I'd probably say, look, you know what, yeah, these guys are top gun center options. Tamale's done his job. You can probably cash in, but otherwise he's completely fine to hold as well. On the Titans, not really too much relevance here, especially with Jaden Campbell and Fafita both being out. Tino stepped up in this one with 69 points. He had 1 try contribution. Otherwise, he's rock solid as ever. He's also someone who I'm not as concerned about during the Origin period. So if you look at the schedule for the Titans, they already missed round 12. So he was already missing that game anyway. He will miss round 15. The thing is though, like, I just don't think he's going to be someone who is a backup risk. He's just a bit of a machine, and I think the Titans need him on the field as much as they can. He's the club captain, I believe, as well. I think he'll want to play for them if he can. So he's probably someone who I don't think I'll be selling during the Origin period, because I think I'll want him in my run home team. Bo Fermor 63, which was pretty solid in this one. Scored a try, so that bumped up his score as well. And Tom Weaver stepped in for Jaden Campbell. Halfback only is 268k, but I don't know if I'd be looking at cheapies in the halfback. Ideally, I'd be just trying to run your Clearys and maybe combine with a Nico Hines or maybe a Jerome Hughes down the track. Not many other big scores from this one. Jalen de Groot, 51 points, and Brimson 46. Final game of this video will be the Knights versus the Sharks. As I said before, won't be covering the Tigers Eels in this particular one, but a solid win for the Sharks, 34 points to 14. The big talking points out of this one though is Greg Marzhew, 138 points. Look, about 40 points came in this one run where he got that try assist for Fletcher Sharp. 42 points in tackle bus. I've honestly never seen that many points in tackle bus in any game before. So this probably is an outlier. I'm not even if I had to calculate his base power stats, we're looking at 54 plus 37. Can I do quick math? That's like 90, 91 in base power. I don't think Greg is going to repeat that. But it's good to see that he at least had lots of runs in this one, 37 points in runs. Bit of a return to form of that Greg Marzhew from a couple of seasons ago, where he went an average, I think, like 79, 78. So the Knights do have a good draw. So he is an interesting option to target. So in terms of price rise, so he's 519k. He will get up to, he'll only got 53k, but have a -5 break even. So he's going to be still fairly priced. He'll be sub 600k, which I think is a still good price for Marzhew. I know he was very disappointing last week, but he still ended up scoring 56. He's got the Warriors, Rabbitohs, Titans, and the Eels, and plays round 12 against the Origin-affected Penrith team. And he plays round 13. Actually, with the Knights in general, I probably will call this out. So if you look at the long-term run, I've actually got them top of my draw schedule difficulty, and they have no buys between round 8 to 15. So I really don't hate buying someone like a Marzhew. He's not going to be Origin-affected. Good matchups in round 10, 11, and you can just kind of stick solid with him. Now that I've thought about it as well, I was thinking of originally going Billy Smith and Shibasaki, I mentioned, to like a Farnworth and Jesse Arthurs. Looking at this now, I think the fact that he's got no buys and he'll be more value at his sub 600k, maybe it's somewhat points chasing. But Marzhew, Dylan Lucas, if he's back, they're both very big considerations at centre. And it's just good to see that at least he scored well despite the Knights not putting in a lot of points. And especially if I don't buy Kalen Ponga, he can be like my hedge. At least if I don't own Ponga, I've got some attacking coverage from the Knights. But I think even in his own right, he's still a good pick, because if you look at his scores... Sorry, I'm just trying to find the right screen. Apologies. Yeah, if you look at his scores so far this year, 83, 84, down game of 38, 42, and then 56. That 42 against the Bulldogs, tough opposition. If his low is 40, but his upside is 138, we know that he's a former gun. I think very interested in Marzhew. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the top 1 or 2 most traded in players. Projected break even of -5. He'll make some money as well, which is a positive. Kuiper's has actually been really good as well. 89 points, about 65 points plus in base power in this one. So if you are looking for someone around that mid 500 second row, he's also an option. Fletcher Sharp scored a try in this one. He actually also had a try pulled back as well, so could have scored even bigger. Knights, despite their attacking woes, they've got good Supercoach options. Like Bradman Best scored 75, Dylan Lucas to come back, Marzhew did well. Maybe these are the guys that you get and not Kellen Ponga as it currently stands. Look, with Ponga, he scored 46 points in this one. Not terrible, only like 10 points less than Gutherson if you think about it. He is going to be so cheap though. So he's going to be 600. He had a break even of 137. He's projected to lose 87k, I should say. Sorry, not 87,000k, but he'll be sub 600,000 with a break even of 111. We looked at that draw just then though, like no buys 8 to 15. The one concern now though is that because of this injury to Reece Walsh, which is about 4 to 5 weeks, you'd probably think that Pong is going to be playing Origin, at least game 1. So he's probably going to be missing round 12. So if you're thinking about that, he'll probably miss that week. But the next 4 weeks, though, are still really, really good. Because I've already got Gutherson and Pappy, and I'm thinking of Tedesco, I probably, at this stage, won't be going Ponga. And I know a lot of people out there who own Ponga will say, well, just watch him and you can see that, the eye test isn't quite being passed. They're not scoring points. But there is time in SuperCoach where you just have to be like, this is a guy who's averaged 80 plus the last few seasons, can turn it around at any point, and you're getting him at sub 600k. In terms of value, I can't think of anyone more value in fullback, or maybe even in the game at this point, than Ponga at sub 600k. But he still might not be a buy. If people are looking at buying though, I honestly don't hate it. Especially if you're selling like a Reece Walsh and stuff. As it currently stands, I might instead buy Marzu, just because I feel like I've got more players to sell for Marzu, and I can still take advantage of that really good long-term run for the Knights. On the Sharks side of things, so Will Kennedy was good in this one with 84. Blake Brayley, as I mentioned earlier in the video, probably is your best hooker option. 83 points with a couple of try assists in this one. Hiroti was a good trade-in and play for this week, so he scored 80 points. Projected break-even next week of -29, and this score will make him about 130k. So if you went and bought Hiroti this week, even if Iro's back next week, you've still made over 100k. It's not the worst trade in the world. But if he gets another game, then you're making seriously good money on Hiroti, probably making over 200k. So he's definitely been a good trade-in for those people from a cash gen point of view. Fanua Blake and Sam Stone Street, both with 76 points. Stone Street could be a good pod to consider. The Sharks do play round 12. In terms of long-term run, it's not bad. So they've got Parramatta Tigers next 2. There is Melbourne in round 11. But then it's the Roosters in round 12 who will be missing Collins and probably Connor Watson to Origin. They do miss out round 13 though, so you just probably need to be a bit careful with that. But yeah, Sharks players are fine to trade in. Their backline players are generally always very low owned because they just share the points. Stone Street probably is the preferred one just because it seems to be getting more of the quality ball down his side. Like Mulatalo of the SuperCoach gun of the past only scored 20 points in this one. Bryn Nico, a bit of a down game with 49, and Nico Hines was solid enough in this one with 65. I think with Nico, like he generally is as it currently stands, he's probably getting about 1 try assist a game combined with his goal kicking. He's probably getting into the mid 60s. Again, I'm not sure if I'd be going out and buying him. He's still losing money, so he's projected to lose about 51k and have a break even of 93 points. But good couple of matchups coming up. Plays round 12, so he will probably be. Like for example, I'll probably look at selling Cleary maybe in round 12 just during that Origin period. I'll do the calculations on how many games I think he might miss, but I think Hines might be a good option because he plays that major buy round and could be a serious option during that point of time. That's probably it I wanted to cover. Thomas Kent was good in this one as well with 56. But that's everything I wanted to cover for this particular video. As I said before, my team's on about 1,005. So yeah, Terrell May captain. Hopefully, if him and Adam Dewey, they're the only 2 players I've got left, if they go well this week, then hopefully I can push up into the 1200s. Hard to comment on what the pass score is at the moment, but I'll end the video there. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll give my thoughts on that last game on the Tuesday stream, but thanks everyone for tuning in. Please do like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and catch you all in the next one. Cheers.